when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Oh well, I we haven't talked COVID in quite some time, and I'm just curious how everybody's dealing, what everybody thinks is going to be our eventualities with it. Is it, I mean, in other words, how long are we going to be wearing masks, do you think? Is there a point where we will have entirely defeated it and it's a non-factor? And also want to talk about how it has affected you guys individually. Um, okay, I'm sorry, I'm wait getting to who's in here. Savage, Jonathan, Chevrolet, Isaac, Hudaifa, Sponge Goat, Jorge, Trevor, Zion, FBI agent. Oh no, FBI agent says my phone is at 100%. Goodbye, soldiers. Thank you for your service, FBI agent. Hey, Joe Kage, good to see you, pal. I, I'm asked because I'd be super uggo. Well, listen, I mean, there's something to be said for that. Could anybody, pandemic or not, when you have a face like this, is anybody really going to complain about it having a mask on it? Nuja says, "Hey, Mr. Boy Comedy." Another year, you think, Joe? I think that's a fair. When you say another year, you're saying with masks for another year? Could be. A few months ago, I would have thought shorter than that, but what I've seen and read recently, I'm thinking, yeah, that might be accurate. Can we beat it? Yes, we can. RPT says. And wait a second, wasn't that from Bob the Builder? And didn't Handy Manny take his job? He took our job. You think so? Chester says we will beat COVID. I hope so. Oh, duh. Obviously, I hope so. Here, let me put on my headset just so I can hear sound effects and stuff. I do think the bizarre differences in the way it's been handled have been interesting, to say the least. I think some people have clearly underestimated it. I think and by people I mean those in positions of authority, have clearly underestimated it. I think others have gone too far. I don't think you can overestimate it, but I think they have taken actions that are too much over the top. They've given too much credence to it. My personal opinion is now that we have a pretty good handle on how it's transmitted, what it does, who it affects the most, I would think the most effective way of going about dealing with it right now is doing our very best to protect those who are at risk of death from this virus and trying to get everything else moving as normally as possible. Obviously, you're going to have to do that with masks and with social distancing, so on and so forth. But I think we could easily get to a point where, as been said by others, the attempts or the policies put in place to defeat the virus are worse than the virus itself. Morgan says, I'm masking up and being smart about social distancing, but I also won't live in fear. That's where I am, Morgan. I say another year of it being bad, 2 until under control. I think those are all fair numbers. That's where I am. I mean, I don't really understand, and I know this will be confusing to some of you who, again, well, it's the hyper-political nature of things nowadays, because people know that I'm voting for Trump. They assume that, well, you have to be a hardcore conservative, and you got to fall in line with all their belief structures. But masks are a necessity for obvious reasons. Are they a perfect solution? No. And can masks actually create more issues for some people? Sure. People with breathing problems and stuff, absolutely. But knowing what we do about how the virus propagates, it's not a big stretch to figure out that a mask does have some sort of, well, not some sort, has a significant amount of effect on keeping those droplets from being airborne, which is the basis for how it moves from person to person. Isaac says, I mask up and everything, so I'm being safe about it, but I'm not afraid of the virus, just cautious. Exactly, that's where I am. But if people keep downplay it, maybe a year or 2 years of mask and virus, you could be right. It's just like you guys know, we went to Disney World last month. Now, I never felt in fear. It's one of those things where I know it's corny, but it's a knowledge is power thing. If you know how the virus is transmitted and everything, and you're smart about the way you go about living your life, you don't really have a lot to fear from it. I mean, we wore our masks when we're in groups. We stay social distanced. If I see somebody for whatever reason somebody that I don't know moving about without a mask, I'm not going to go over and have a close-up conversation with them. I'll talk to them from, a reasonable distance away and stuff. And what's even more important is if I do think I've been in an area where people maybe haven't been as careful, my hands do not go anywhere near my eyes, nose, or mouth until I've been able to scrub them up. I mean, it's just the nature of the disease, things we need to do. Money in My Mind took over his stream boss and says, Pritzker tried shutting down indoor dining and bars again, but this time 70-plus business owners got together and are staying open and suing Pritzker. Really? See, I believe with what we know now, I believe things can be opened. Again, it's almost got to happen. You can't keep everything shut down, or what you're going to eventually have is going to be worse than the virus. I believe. Again, it has to be done intelligently, but I certainly think with the amount of knowledge we have about how it spreads, I don't think that's that difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Gojida says, we are beating COVID. Best example is our excellent GDP numbers. I saw that. 33.1% improvement since last quarter. That's the record as the highest number we set. That is encouraging, too.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
anything like that, Gojida is immediately hyper political, and the first thing you hear is why Trump can't take credit for it. I'm not worried about crediting or blaming anyone. That's just plain good news. I mean, that's a positive for all of us. Kyle says, we'll beat it and could already if we never did the lockdown. I don't know about that. If Biden wins, it'll go away quickly. If Trump wins, it'll go for as long as the Dems can get it. I haven't masked since the start. See, I don't necessarily agree with that, Kyle. I don't think the lockdown was as effective as a lot of people want to give it credit for. I think the social distancing and awareness, as awareness, I say by wearing masks, stuff like that, of not exchanging these droplets, did it. I don't think it was actual physical keeping people indoors. I think it was people gaining knowledge that did it. So I agree with that part of it. Brian says, my job has overkill protocols. I was all about that at first, but now it's becoming more a burden and an inconvenience on my mental health. You appreciate normalcy so much more. I agree. And I think things like the guidelines that Governor Newsom in California just laid down, I think are absolutely patently ridiculous for Thanksgiving gatherings and everything. And when you have a Thanksgiving gathering, you're supposed to make sure you chart and list everybody who is in your house, and it needs to take place outdoors. And if they can use a bathroom inside, as long as you continue to go in and scrub it down. Fuck off. Sometimes I think, again, it's just politicians trying to out-cautious one another. Look how proactive I'm being about everything. And again, some politicians, some people in political positions certainly love the feeling of being omnipotent, the almighty, and you will abide by my rules because I am the genius. We got one of those here in New York. BTG says, my turkey died on 26th of November 2020. We'll be hosting a funeral for it. Refreshments provided. Max 30 guests. Well put, BTG. That's how you should send out invitations just like that. That's good. I like that. I agree 100% with what Lude says here. I will say I have rarely seen someone taking this in a balanced and logical way. It's either, oh no, we're all going to die, or the virus is bullshit, government trying to control us, dictatorship. I agree with you. It's frightening, but I would think too, I think Lude and most of you guys will agree, I think that's just the nature of the way things are, especially in America right now, with everything being, even this has to be a hyper-political issue. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think in this case, there is a very simple and very real best case solution right in front of us, which is what we've all just been talking about here, which is okay, we know how it transmits. So if you're out and about and in groups, wear a mask. Keep your nasty little droplets from getting airborne. If you know you've been in a situation where people may not have been being careful, don't be conscious. Don't let your hands, if your hands have come into contact with things you think might be tainted for any reason, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your ears, don't play with your butthole, don't touch any any orifice until you can scrub your hands, and scrub your hands regularly. I mean, it's not that complicated. And again, if you're going to be talking to someone, you don't have to be face to face. No, there should be no more Seinfeld level close talkers. So have a little distance. It's not that hard. That's why, again, and my wife would be considered high risk with her breathing disorders and stuff. And we had no worries going to Disney, not because we don't think it's out there, because we're just being smart about the way we go about our lives and the way we conduct ourselves. The only place that looked really bad, I'll tell you what wasn't well run at all, was Chicago's airport. Chicago's airport, because we had a layover there. I don't know what they were doing next to nothing. Lachlan says, we currently have a stage system in the UK. I did hear that. In London, we are on stage 2, meaning that you can't meet people outside of your household. I'm 24. Continue to be low. Oh, that's okay, Lachlan. I'll watch for it. Don't worry about it. Okay, here it is. This means that I cannot go out to meet my friends at the pub. Thanks to the system, I have no social life and just feeling miserable. And people need, and they don't. People in authority need to actually factor exactly what Lachlan said into the equation. Because you've got a lot of people, unfortunately, throughout the world, and certainly in America, who struggle with their own mental health daily. A lot of them. And when you're adding this onto them, you have to be aware of the fact that just isolating people can drive them over the edge. And we are seeing inflated rates of suicide. We're seeing massively inflated rates of domestic violence. And it's not a mystery why. You can't let fighting the disease be worse than the disease itself. Joe Kage says, hey, Thick Daddy, I'm in quarantine right now. Hoping for negative results. Numbers are rising quickly here in Germany. I heard most of Europe's getting hit hard again. Well, ours are rising here as well. Doesn't seem to be rising quite as quickly as a lot of Europe, but yeah, we're going up. It can take up to a week to get test results. Oh, that sucks, Joe. Ah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I hope everything goes well, pal. I hope it is negative for you. When we came back from Disney, and again, even as careful as we were, the first day we were back, we came back late one evening. We got up in the morning, and we went to a local community where they do the rapid tests, just for our own peace of mind, because we have my disabled daughter here and everything. We just wanted to, for our peace of mind, and we both tested negative. That swab up the nose is a fucking treat, though. Let me tell you. I don't know how many of you guys have experienced that yet. That's fun.
Oh,
is that uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Sajil says, hello, this is tech support. How may I assist you? Sajil, I have to, whenever I read somebody writing something like that, I immediately have to fight the urge to say it in my really bad Indian accent. Hello, this is tech support. How may I assist you today? You guys would be shocked to know, I've told you this before, though, so maybe you wouldn't be shocked. I used to be able to do dialects and stuff pretty good. I don't know where I lost that. I can't do them worth a shit anymore. Little Narm says, the best reaction. Well, thanks. I appreciate that, my friend. We actually, I have been cutting back on the number of reactions. Over the next few days, you will see a couple more, because what I do is I'm trying not to do as many reactions other than anime. I mean, I just fucking love anime. Oh, and I'm so happy. Totally off topic. My t-shirt company that I usually buy my anime shirts from had a sale, because I wait for the sales. I'm gonna be. I was gonna say I'm a cheap bastard. No, I just don't have the money to not wait for the sales. But I got 3 new ones coming, so I'm all psyched. But thank you, Lil Narm. Oh, but what I was starting to say is, I always watch when I'm on YouTube. I'll watch my recommended, and when certain videos come out that I feel like, okay, I've got to do a reaction to that, I bookmark them, and I got 2 coming up. 2 in the same day yesterday. I saw. It's like, yeah, I have to watch that. All right, let's see what everybody else is saying. Isaac said, "Oh, was talking to Willie. Says someone on Twitter tried telling me that 5G towers emit the coronavirus, which is idiotic. A lot of people were believing that, Isaac. That was. It seems to have calmed down, ebbed a bit, but a lot of people were buying that. I have a family member who installs them and hasn't even gotten coronavirus. No, that's absolute insanity. People are just jump on the weirdest shit because as the virus was being discovered and was starting to take hold and spread was about the same time that 5G was becoming more and more accessible. That's the only reason the only thing I can think of that might have, this chat isn't up again, might have tipped people into something as bizarre as that. Hold on, let me see if I can get this chat box that's right next to me working again. I don't know why it does this every time now. Having a lot of problems with OBS lately. All right, it should come back up for you guys. I know most of you don't even use that chat box, but just in case. Let me see. Did you see this? Did you see the Supreme Dreams video? How quickly you make friends in anime? No, Andrew, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who Supreme Dreams are. No, I haven't seen that. Richard says, I live in California. It's really bad in my county, so I almost never leave the house besides exercising and getting groceries. And Richard makes a good point in the respect, too, though. I think how you react to it in your day-to-day life obviously has a lot to do with where you live as well. And I'm probably stating the insanely obvious there. Hold on a second. I got something screwed up here. Okay. But now, like where I am, because we are so rural, we've had very, very, very limited cases. And again, in a rural area like I live in, we aren't on top of one another in our normal ways of life. So it's much easier to prevent spread here. So it does change the way you go about things. You certainly feel like if I want to go out and walk down at the corner of my block, there's a couple of convenience stores. There's a Dollar General.
Yeah.
If I want to walk to any of those stores, it's not like you ever feel any type of angst or concern because, again, there's so few cases around, so you slap a mask on, everybody else is wearing them, you're conscious of your distance, and you really don't think about it. So an entirely different thing, like you were saying, if you live in a county or a region where the virus is rampant, I'm sure you're giving more thoughts to every move you make. Speaking of idiotic, I did hear about this, Kyle. Have you heard about people misunderstanding what Trump meant by coyotes bringing illegals over? Yeah. For those who don't know, Trump said something the other day. I don't remember the exact quote, but they were talking about illegal immigration and the children in cages and all that horse shit. And he said something about the coyotes, bringing the kids over. And there were some true geniuses, high IQ folks on Twitter who thought he meant actually four-legged coyotes dragging children across the border, and they were calling him stupid for believing something like that. It's like, yikes. It's scary. The amount of things you see on Twitter or social media in general, it's frightening how stupid. I mean, and that is just, and I'll tell you the reason you're stupid, because people say, well, if you've never heard the term, you're not stupid. Yes, you are. Because why would you assume that someone actually meant a four-legged creature carrying the children across and not just look it up? Before you expounded to the world about it, the simplest thing is do a Google search. If you search coyotes bringing kids from Mexico, you're immediately going to understand what they meant. Milog says, I can just imagine quarantine-fueled domestic violence. I'm sorry, honey, but the store's closed. You'll have to have your sandwich without tomato. No tomato, and then he beats his wife. I hope it takes a little bit more than that to instigate it, but I'm not sure, Milog. But yes, the numbers are showing that. And again, it's sad, but it's not surprising that domestic violence is up significantly. There's an unfortunate number of households that just aren't, particularly happy households. And when the people are locked down in there together for extended periods, it's just not going to be good. But yes, there is no shortage of absolute stupidity in social media. We've all seen that. You're waiting on a train, Suika? You know what? We hardly do where I live. Again, it's rural, and it's actually ironic when you think about it, because one of the biggest running gags here is how, well, it's not a gag to me. It's my life. How much these trains torture me on the tracks. But I haven't been on a
Oh,
train in years,
yeah.
because train travel, again, where I am, it's entirely different in other countries, and just in more populated areas. There's never really a need for train travel. Every place you go here, hey, Eric, it's in your own vehicle. And if it's a longer trip, it's typically by bus. If it's regional, by plane, if it's farther. Trains just aren't. I guess the last public transportation train I've been on, other than Disney World's monorail, would be back when I used to be in New York all the time when I was driving motor coach, and would have something to do at a different part of the city and would take the subway. Premet says, random, since you have heard Rustage and liked him, I hope you should check out Divide Music when you have time. His voice so good, does anime songs. Yeah, I've never done Premet. Hey, Sean, I have never done any, other than a couple of Papa Franco's, any real music video reactions. I don't foresee myself doing them, especially not with cutting back on the number of reactions I'm doing. I can't imagine that I'm going to be going, adding anything new in. Like I say, when I get notifications from YouTube and there's something that I just really need to see and want to watch it with you guys, because I've watched it with you guys in the past, I do those. It was just like ERB. I mean, it wouldn't be any fun not to share it with all of us watching it together now, because we've already established that.
Yeah.
Kyle says, now I know that coyotes are the Mexican stork. That's well put. The coyote brings your baby. Yeah, that's a good variaticism. I like that word. I swear so many people who speak all over Twitter are the kind of people who need to talk less. They're like speech pollution. I've never heard that phraseology, and I like it. And I could not agree with you more. Again, and we're not talking, and I'm going to speak for Varia. I'm going to shorten it. Varia here as well. We're not demeaning anybody. We're not demeaning anybody's ideas.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
put it this way, we're not demeaning anybody's position on things. It's when people talk out their ass. When they just talk about well, actually, if I say this now, everybody's going to say, well, Orange Man bad. But the one that gets to me now, just because it's dumb, hey, Snakebite, not because of any political leanings, is, well, Trump is responsible for 225,000 deaths. And you see that constantly. Do you really think anybody takes you even a little bit seriously after that? Of course he's not responsible for 225,000 deaths. There are deaths. We're past the million mark worldwide. There are deaths everywhere. It doesn't matter who was president. We're going to have a significant number of deaths here in America. Could it have been less? Possibly. Who knows what Hillary would have done if she won? But to say stuff like that, I don't see what people think they're accomplishing. Well, I think what they're just looking for, correct me if I'm wrong, they're just looking to hope to get people in their echo chamber to like it. Because some people, on social media, and some have admitted it, really get off on getting likes on. You got to be kind of a sad and pathetic dork if your whole life revolves around how many likes you can get on a comment. But that's got to be it, because you immediately out yourself as not a serious person and as possibly just a moron. Ty says, off topic, but yesterday I was talking about the Homeland Security budget. It ends December 11th, so the government might close again if people who got voted out throw a tantrum. Oh, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about budgetary concerns, Ty. Yeah. No, and you can, it doesn't have to, with any of our chats, it doesn't have to be strictly on topic anyway, but yeah, we could have a government shutdown. Oh, man. A government shutdown on top of everything else? Yikes. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. That could end up being a major problem. Willie says, my mom has gone full Karen. She thinks the Queen is a usurper put in place by the Illuminati and thinks that 5G is evil. I love her too much to let her go down this path. I'll have to put her down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's rough, dude. Oh, Willie, I feel for you. If the time is there, it's there, but that's going to be difficult. Jesus Christ. Gary, good to see you again, friend. Hi, been a while. My friends and I call it beer flu. Well, thank you, Parzival. I appreciate that. Oh, Rosa, I tested positive for China virus. Lucky I'm not that sick though. Oh, good. I hope you do stay asymptomatic or very mildly with mild symptoms. We know that's a large percentage of people, so hopefully it's the same for you. Thank you, Dara. That's is it Dara or Dara? I appreciate that. Nice to say. Wolverine says we could get a purge going, kill all Karens as a start. Yeah, we got who know, oh, Ty's stream boss now too. Wolverine, after this election, we might be doing some purge level stuff. Again, not anything I root for, but something that's on your mind. Lude says, I know 2020 has been really bad and everyone just wanting it to end, but I get the feeling people are creating the illusion that as soon as the 1st of January arrives, all problems will vanish. They won't, right? You're right, Lude. It's almost, in some ways, like as a society, it's almost like we're setting ourselves up for some inevitable disappointment. You're right. I mean, the virus, any one of a number of things that have gone so significantly wrong or poorly in 2020 are not watching the days on the calendar. I mean, it is tragically comedic how many monumental things have gone wrong in 2020. But yeah, these flipping over from December to January on the calendar isn't going to have any effect on it. Paul covered it pretty well. Some years are just more trash than others. Well, I can tell you now. I don't know if any of you do if and most of you guys are much younger than me, so you don't have as many years from which to choose. I have a clear favorite year of all time. Mine is 1971. You guys know I'm a big sports fan. You guys know we're big Disney fans. In 1971, the Pirates, my favorite baseball team, won the World Series. The Cowboys, my favorite football team, won the Super Bowl. The Bucks, my favorite NBA team, won the NBA championship, and they opened Disney World. 71 for the fucking win. Sajil says, how's Bend Over for a porn name? Good, but not wholly original, Sajil. I have heard that one before. I was actually in a film with a guy. Well, no, that's another story. Filmmaker says, I think Trump might surprise everyone on election night. His support among black Americans is in the mid-20s, and he's tied with Biden in the Hispanic vote in Florida. Lightning might strike twice. You know where I am right now, filmmaker? I'm agreeing with you. If I was, and I'm a big numbers geek, I like numbers. If I had to call a percentages right now, I would say it's 65-35. And people hear that and say, oh, shit, well, that's an easy win for Biden. No, because if that's accurate, it's 3.5 out of 10 that it's Trump. And that's a significant possibility. It's a minority possibility, but a significant one. And again, that's just my number. I didn't read that anywhere. That's my feeling on it. And too many people, when they try and figure that, though, and I see this in some of the math they do, they try and figure it per the popular vote. And if one thing was made abundantly clear in 2016, the popular vote doesn't matter. You have to try, and if you're going to figure your numbers, base it on the Electoral College and, the Electoral College possibilities. And given that, that's what I think it is. I think right now, and it changes dramatically all the time, I think it's about 65-35. Brian says, January 1, 2021, fixing everything is just like the people that thought Hands Across America was a genius move. Oh, you remember that one, Brian? Holy shit. That for those who don't know, that was a big movement to show, our oneness and everything, where everybody was going to join hands and make a chain all the way across America. We probably covered a good, 0.05% of America anyway. Sorry guys, the dogs are going nuts. I should mention. Yeah. That's why I was going to play Among Us with you guys today. Oh my God, dogs. But what you're hearing is why I didn't. Not because of the dogs, because we've got friends of the family who have little ones coming over this afternoon, and we're just going to do a little mini Halloween with them and everything. So I've got a while to chat yet. Everybody's not here. And I told them I'll come down and enjoy with them once everybody gets here. Lachlan, remember the good old days of 2019 when things were simple and fun? I remember. Yeah, that's the sad but true category too. I mean, it is kind of frighteningly coincidental that all this, or a big hunk of all this madness, did coincide with the new year. Demonic Jester says, I prefer Jimmy. Yes, Mother McGee. I'm not, I'm not sure what you mean, pal. That one lost me. Mother Maggie or Mother McGee? You lost me on that one, though. And Jester, for those of you who aren't regulars here, Jester, well, the name isn't there for no reason. He comes up with a lot of good stuff. Dog noise, dog noise. Oh, licks. They go so apeshit, and they're getting worse. I don't know what the hell's wrong with our dogs. Every time there's a noise or anything, and it's the two little ones that start it. The big one joins in, as you can hear, but she's way more chill. They drive me nuts. Let's talk about pirates with superpowers, Gibber says. I'm always down for talking about, and I was never in, that's one of the things that really surprised me. And I know I am going off topic here, but about One Piece, I never liked pirate stories. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about that, and then it turned into one of my favorite things ever. Dragon Sphere says 5G is a weapon and the moon and sun are similar size. People like that are way more scary than Trump. Absolutely. Absolutely, Dragon Spheres. And see, that's, well, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me. It's like, I'm going to vote for Trump. And as I told you guys, Biden wins. I'm going to hope that Biden does a good job. Now, I'll support Biden on a lot of his platitudes. The only time I draw the line, I've told you guys this over and over, my dividing line is when the government starts coming for more of our money. And I should have mentioned this yesterday. I'll just veer off for a second here. Like with healthcare, what I didn't go further into is I do think that the idea of Medicare for all is asinine, way too expensive, and won't even be particularly effective. That's my opinion. But beyond that, if you were to set up, and I do like a lot of the tenets of Biden's healthcare proposals, and to be fair, I haven't heard anything as good from Trump's camp as I have from Biden's on that. For me, I don't have a problem paying extra taxes, a reasonable extra amount of taxes to make sure that people who are working and trying to get ahead have health coverage. If it means that I have to pay more in taxes so that others can have it, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with any system that rewards people who don't want to help themselves. And that's a divine line for me. If you're going to come in and say, well, no, this goes to everybody. And if somebody doesn't want to work, there's plenty of work out there to be had. And when they applied for their benefits, they were given a job, but they just didn't like doing the job. Well, that's why it's called work. Then no, I have no desire to help them. If you don't want to help yourself, I don't have any desire to help you. I also don't believe in benefits going to those who are here illegally. The other side of that, too, is I also believe that people who hire illegal aliens, if it's found that they didn't do their due diligence in trying to determine that they were here illegally, that should be a federal offense. That should be that should be, I don't know, mandatory jail time or heavy fines, but it should be a felony. So that's where I stand on it. If you put a system in place that is there to help those who are just trying to get ahead and are trying to help themselves, I'll pay more taxes and I won't even bitch about it. Oh, shit, Cheyenne. Oh, Cheyenne says your timing is apt. I just tested positive yesterday. I'm in lockdown and hospital supervision now. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Shit. Hopefully you're not having any symptoms, or at least very mild symptoms. In other words, hopefully you're not feeling sick on top of everything else. That sucks, Cheyenne. Jesus. Well, we're streaming regular too. Keep us posted on how you're doing. Miss Rona got Cheyenne says Miss Rona got me like
Oh yeah.
Filmmaker says the media in America gets off on fear. Oh, sure do. And again, that's across the board, all sides of the aisles. They've spent an entire year trying to convince us that a 99% recovery rate is a bad thing. They lie always. Well, and I am, again, with my background in journalism, I am appalled at the way mainstream media conducts itself now. And I do think, obviously, that this virus is something that deserves to be front page news a good portion of the time. But yes, I think it's covered unfairly sometimes. It's like people have a right to know all the elements of anything and how it affects us in our daily lives. Excuse me. So it's just as important to explain to people why you're wearing a mask, or it's just as important to explain to people what your percentages are if you get this disease, what you should expect to face, who is really at risk, instead of just the constant bludgeoning with, this. It's just all about the numbers. This many have died. And I do not like, and I've known this, I can tell you from some people I've known personally, I do not like this concept of every time somebody dies, if they happen to have coronavirus, that's the cause of their death. I mean, the most recent one was a friend of many of ours, of my group from wrestling, that I told you, the man he knew his time was limited. He had diabetes bad. He'd lost, I don't remember if he lost both legs or one of his legs. He was very, very sick. His heart was poor. Well, at the time of his death, they found out he had coronavirus, and it becomes a coronavirus death. Now, you can say, well, he had it, so you can put it there. Right. But he was probably going to die. He knew he was going to die anyway, and the coronavirus may have made zero difference in when it happened. I don't like. This whole, everybody having to have a politics having to play a role in everything drives me insane. It's like, okay, let's get all these viruses, let's get the virus deaths to as big a number as we can, because how does that help us politically? And that drives me nuts. Demonic Gesture says, my adult video name will be Jimmy. Yes, mother. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay, Jimmy McGee. I gotcha. Jimmy, yes, mother, McGee. Cheyenne says, I only go out for work and to get groceries. I believe I got it when I got food at Trader Joe's. All those low prices have come at a higher one. I'm okay so far, just really tired. Hope it stays that way. Yeah, keep us posted, Shy. God damn it. You hate hearing when I don't like any of you guys to be sick with anything at all. But Cheyenne's young. She's strong. She's healthy. So, again, it's one of those things where the percentages tell you that she might feel kind of crappy for a while, but we're hoping and we can expect that everything will be okay, Shy. Jeez, that's too bad, though. Cheyenne says, I honestly can't tell if I'm shorter of breath than normal, but I'm certainly not struggling to breathe. I'm pretty lucky to be on a campus with a hospital. Yeah, right. And I think, too, Cheyenne, I think you'll agree with me because we've talked about things similar to this in the past. Even me and I think I have with the hypnosis, I have a really decent, I believe, understanding of, as far as you can understand how the mind works. And if you're looking for anything, no matter how much you tell yourself to take a fair and balanced look at something, if you're looking for shortness of breath, you're going to feel it to some degree. And then you have to determine, okay, is this what I'm inflicting on myself? Am I creating this in my own mind? Or is it really shortness of breath? So, yeah, your mind starts fucking with you. No matter how much understanding we have about our mind's potential for doing that, it can still effectively do that. But yeah, Wolverine, I think our Cheyenne's going to be fine. Santino says, great to see someone who doesn't totally hate the other side and hope they succeed. They come to power. We need more people like you. Well, the thing of it is, Santino, is that's so counterproductive. Now, there is nobody I disagree with more on policy than Bernie Sanders. And again, I've said to you why over and over, because Bernie Sanders believes the exact polar opposite that I do. He believes government should take a substantial amount of your money and then they should redistribute it back to you. That is the antithesis of everything I believe. If he were elected president, I would do anything I could in my power to stop him from getting to implement those policies that I hate. But I'm not going to root for him to be a failure. I'm not going to root for the economy to tank to prove that Bernie's the shits. I'm not going to root for things that are against everything that's for the betterment of us all, because I don't like him. I don't understand that. I don't get that. Kyle says, I'm against government and healthcare at all, especially when they're trying to make me pay
Oh,
for others' healthcare. I don't even want healthcare for me.
yeah.
Well, I see, Kyle, what I like as far as government involvement, I prefer when government is there to make sure that everything is kept fair. Because we do know that the one problem with a free and open market is there's plenty of people who want to abuse that and take advantage of people. So I believe that government should be there as far as a regulator. I also don't have a problem with government providing health care to those who want it. So in other words, this is something that Biden is proposing, in fairness to Biden, having a decent healthcare system that people can buy into provided by the government, I have no problem with. And even if that takes some of my tax dollars to support, I don't have a problem with that. My issue gets to be when it's just going to be, okay, we're going to tax you because there's too many people that don't want to do for themselves, so we're going to do for them. Bullshit. Bullshit. I love a country where everybody has equal opportunity, but nobody has a guaranteed outcome. That's more where I stand. But it's counterproductive to root against your president. I just don't get it. Like I say, if Biden wins, I hope everything goes well. I hope this healthcare plan he's got lined up, I hope it works out great for everybody. If Biden does try to do things that I think are overstepping as far as taking our money to let government redistribute it, for whatever little bit I can do, I'm going to do everything I can to oppose that. But I'm still not going to root for our economy to collapse or something to prove a point that he sucks. Ty says, yeah, but hospital always did that. It's just with COVID that it's become a problem. Well, yeah, it was. Well, they did it to a degree, Ty. I mean, they always will give a cause of death, and when there might be multiple causes of death, I understand what you're saying there. But it becomes a problem when these numbers are being used to dictate policy, to dictate so many different things. And the simple fact is, it's just not a fair representation of how deadly the disease is. That's what. But you're right. I mean, we're not disagreeing. It's become a problem with COVID because of that reason. RPT says, to be fair, 5G can be dangerous in large quantities, just like apple seeds can be dangerous, or a girl on a black couch might be in an actual interview. What you're saying, basically, RPT, is too much of anything can be a bad thing, even if it's a good thing. Well done. Demonic Jester, for those who don't know, he's going through, he's trying to determine his porn name. This could be, or Dave the Nuclear Powered Vibrator McGee. I like that. The NPV McGee. Oh yeah, Dave the NPV McGee.
Yeah.
That's the one. I say you go with that. Yeah, and all of us, Cheyenne, I'm sure I speak for everybody when we say I hope you get very little in the way of symptoms and just get through it and just get to the other side of it as quickly and easily and efficiently as possible. Please, again, I've gotten to where I'm able to stream pretty regularly. Don't worry about what the topic of the stream is. Whenever you can come in with us and give us updates, let us know. Vindhelm says, I masked, but not because of the COVID. I just don't like when people I knew years ago recognize me, end up wasting my time with a pointless conversation. Boy, let me tell you something, brother. That's what I can identify with. To me, there's a lot of you guys don't see this because I really enjoy you guys. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I sincerely enjoy these conversations. Like I said yesterday, even when we don't agree on things, like Will and I are good buds online. We didn't agree on something, but it was fun. I like having those conversations with you guys, agree or disagree. But in the real world, I think it's because here, we're all here together because at least we have some thread that ties us, whether it's the anime connection, whether it's just similar takes on things. Maybe we just all like to have a good debate. Whatever that case may be, there's a thread that holds us together. But like what Windhelm said, you get people in your life who, and I think you can all identify, who just bore the fuck out of you. And it doesn't necessarily make them a bad person. It just means they have nothing that is of interest to me to say. And that is the worst. And you're right. If a mask would prevent that, yeah, I'd wear them all the time. I don't think I'm being a sociopath with that, am I? All you guys got to have people like that you know, don't you? That you meet them out somewhere and you cringe and you go, oh, this conversation is going to be fucking stupid. And you just don't want to be there anymore. Isaac says, Curtis make me think it's my birthday today because he has all that cake. Or maybe he might be a baker because he always has cake. I like cake. No, I didn't. Fallen Glaze Gaming says, you see the new TFS Halloween special? That I may have to check out. I didn't know they had one. That I might have to check out. Cheyenne Alpha has just told us that she just tested positive. If this man didn't have COVID, his skull would have been strong enough so that the bullet would not have gone in. No, Cheyenne was just diagnosed with it. She just found out she got it. Yeah, I've known a few people that have had it. Fortunately, the people I know that have had it didn't get any significant symptoms. Nothing devastating. Hey, Anton, good to see you. Elog says, Baldman, have you heard of those 24/7 voyeur house porn streams that require subscriptions? You should do that except with only one room so we can peep on you for editing for a price. I'm joking, maybe. I've thought before about maybe taking a day and just leaving the stream on and just going about my business just to see if you guys thought that was funny. I have actually thought of doing that because the only thing is I'd have to get a second camera. Because a lot of what I'm doing is recording videos. Well, yeah, no, I have headphones on when I do it, so I could do that. The audio wouldn't be there, but I'd have to get another camera because the camera I use to live stream is also the camera I use to record the video. So I might do that. Plug in a second camera sometime, just leave it run for the day. Next post, Morgan, you got it. Ty says, oh no, I misunderstood what you meant.
Yeah.
I thought you were blaming the hospitals, but you're just saying politicians and media are misused. Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, Ty, I got you. Yeah, no, I'm not blaming the hospitals. I see what you're saying, though. And that was probably on me. I didn't really explain myself really well. No, the politicians and media, right, are the ones that are misusing the numbers to whatever, are using those numbers to further their own agendas. No, I have nothing but the deepest respect for the healthcare field and those in it. Cheyenne says, Cheyenne's stream boss too. If I don't show more symptoms in 10 days, I'm no longer infectious. And CDC recommends you don't test for 90 days because though you aren't infectious, you still have particles that would make you test positive. I did not know that last part, Cheyenne. That makes sense. Hi, Danny. That does make a lot of sense. I didn't know that though. That they recommend you don't. But again, now what we know about how the virus, how it spread, that would make sense that you would still have remnants in there. I didn't know that. Yeah, I think, Cheyenne, I just got a good feeling about it. I think you'll be fine, sweetie. I certainly hope so. Jake says, here in the northern states, I bet a lot of people are going to love wearing a mask once the freezing weather comes. It's funny you say that, Jake, because most mornings, hey, Presidente, most mornings I walk down to the local convenience store and I just pick up, I usually, when I'm trying to eat properly like I am now, my breakfast is usually just a hard roll with peanut butter because the peanut butter seems to fuel my workouts pretty well. Anyway, I just go down and get like a juice and hard roll with peanut butter on it. When the summertime, you would get there and I'd go to put the mask on. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it was just like, it just was uncomfortable feeling. Now over these last couple weeks, it's like, you know what, maybe I'll just wear the mask for the whole walk because it does actually make you feel a little warmer when it's fucking cold out in the morning. And up here in upstate New York, it's already cold out in the mornings. My state is talking about a COVID task force to enforce mask wearing in all businesses. Sounds fun. I don't personally wear a mask. See, I do, Paul, because again, just what they've said makes enough sense to me. I don't do anything based on certainly what a government official tells us, but with knowing how the virus spreads, that makes sense to me to wear a mask. I don't like it. I think masks suck, but it makes sense to me, so I do it. I missed Morgan. Did I miss Morgan's post? Somebody said I missed. Oh, next post, Uncle Curtis. Yes, I did. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. Morgan, I apologize. I read that and then I forgot. Who would have thought? If I have a son, I'm going to change my last name to Head and name it Richard. There was this was a true story, and this is going way back. This is Morgan. This is when I lived in New Mexico, so it had to be probably early '80s. I lived there 2 different times. I think it was when I lived there in the early '80s. There was some state representative or some state politician in Texas. His last name was Pig. I think it was 2 G's, Pigg, and he named his daughters Ima and Yura. And of course that was obviously long before the days of social media, and he took a horrific beating just in traditional word of mouth. I mean, that's a horrible thing to do. I'll have to look that up. I've never looked that up again since. I wonder whatever became of all that, if he took any charges for child abuse or being neglectful to his children or anything. But I do remember reading that, because I couldn't believe anybody would be that much of a dick. Rosa says, a friend blocked me after I said I'm a Trump supporter. Yeah, I've seen it all over in, like on Facebook. I've had a number of people come out with it, and they'll have their rant how, if you're voting for Trump, you have to be racist, xenophobe, you hate the LGBTQ community, blah, blah, blah. So if you're voting for Trump, then I need you to just unfriend me. And I'm like, okay. Not a fucking problem. See ya. Who gives a shit? So, and again, so I'm voting for Trump because I don't like the economic policies of his opponents. So that makes you a racist. Come on, go fuck yourself. I have no problem with cutting ties with those people. It's just like, again, I use Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders is the absolute antithesis of almost everything I believe politically. I have a lot of people that are acquaintances that are Sanders supporters. I've never even thought about cutting any of them off for that. They have a different perspective than I do. I completely disagree with their political views. But so what? So fucking what? Jesus Christ. I heard a story about a child's father only taught him Klingon, not English, Ethan says, till he was 4 years old and was arrested for child neglect. That's kind of neglectful because you're leaving your kids so far behind and everything. That's pretty fucked up. Morgan says, I legit knew a kid with the last name Condom in elementary school. Oh, that's rough. When I told my mom, she busted out laughing. That's how I learned about them. Now, see, I've never seen that, Morgan. I know a Condon, Condon, but I've never known anybody with the last name of Condom. Oh, that's rough. Can you imagine going through middle school with that? Jesus. Well, Crab says, what are you doing for Halloween, Curtis? We do have, we're having, trick-or-treating is allowed here. So we just love getting hand out candy to the kids. And most of the local communities aren't doing it, and ours is. So we think we're going to get a lot of kids here from the local communities that can't go. As a matter of fact, guys, unfortunately, that leads right, perfect segue. I have to go down, as I told you, I hear the door shutting down there. I think all the kids are here today. We're just having a little Halloween get together for some of the little kids that are in our circle of friends and everything. And the kids are downstairs right now, and I told them I would come down and be a part. And plus, I want to see all the costumes. We got some cute little shits down there. What was Wolverine says? What was the first name used, Morgan? I didn't follow that. RPT says, my mom once had a boss named Harry Pratt. She couldn't keep herself from laughing. But I gotta go, guys. We'll probably take this topic up again because we clearly weren't done talking about it. But I do have to go for today. Now, again, remember though, tomorrow is Friday. That'll be Free for All Friday, where you can talk about anything you want, and we will revisit this. John, well put. Unfriended because I'm for Trump? Yeah. Okay, well, bye, Dan. Yeah, I got to admit, that would never occur to me to unfriend someone because they have a different political perspective than do I. My best friend, person I spend the most time with, who comes over here all the time so we can watch football all together and stuff, is a liberal. We don't have any issues. We talk politics all the time. Never gets heated because he's got his view and I got my view. Who cares? All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for. Now, I will tell you this. Thursday sticky stuff is usually kind of hopeful anyway, because tomorrow's Friday, so it knows, the good stuff is coming. But we got a Halloween party going downstairs, so there's sugar in this. There's extra sugar in this sticky stuff. So again, Get your trademark sticky stuff fanny pack ready, because this is sugary sweet. Miyagi taught me just surprised. Oh, it's Daniel-san. This stuff is extra sweet sticky stuff. There's a little bit of Hershey's Kisses in there. There's a little bit of Reese's peanut butter. You're gonna love it. It's a little chunky. Well, at my age, it's always a little chunky, but you know what I'm saying. Pampu pampu, sticky stuff for you, for you, for you. Everybody, gather around, get your sticky stuff, get your sticky stuff, get your treats, little kids. says the mean old witch with the word on the nose. So that's some keeper sticky stuff. It's special holiday edition. So you do want to hold on to that. No, you don't want to hold on to that, because we'll bang. Okay, flashily like Buggy, and as always, most importantly, and with a little extra touch of sweetness, goosh, 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 goosh. Goosh. I worked shoulders last night. That just really hurt. Oh, I'm such a pussy.